Good morning. This is Rhonda Burkhart with HCC, and this morning we're going to be discussing USAS mass load accounts. And we have something similar like this in the payroll side and USPS, but this is for the USAS side. This can be used for several purposes, and we'll be going over that shortly. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So we'll be placing this on HCC's website, and that's going to be under Finance, Software Links and Training. And then under our HCC training recordings, and we'll put that right up underneath our specific topics that are right here. Will be right under there. I'll let you know when it's available to view. If some people were not able to join us today, so and also it's good for a refresher. You need that. So we'll go first to the guide. So it has the steps up top, and so if you need to create a fund, if it's a new fund, then you can do that and create the cash account as well. And then you can do your grid as needed, generate a report in Excel field names format, open that report in Excel, update as needed, whether it's changing a object code, maybe it's the Medicare account. So those went from, for the classified, they went from 249 to 213. So you could do that and then resave that as a CSV, the comma delimited version of that. And then you would go to utilities, mass load, and then you can have a choice of cash accounts, expenditure accounts, and revenue accounts. And when an expenditure account is selected, then as a bonus, you get the appropriation account is also created for that. So there is a Jira issue out there for just uploading appropriation accounts. We had someone request for that. So that's in request format at the current time for a system improvement. So there's several ways this can be implemented, as I talked about just recently. 249 to 213 for the object code for Medicare. Similarly, 259 to 223 for classified. And then if you wanted to modify your account structure, I had a client who wanted to modify their account structure. We pulled down existing accounts, we modified those accounts, then we loaded those in to simplify their accounting structure and made it easier at reporting time at the posting period closing. Also in the USAS manual here, I've got a snippet with a new fund 036 is being added. So you could use that to create that you'd create the fund and then the cash account and then load up any associated expenditure revenue accounts. And also for changing the descriptions, you can use that. So for instance, on this one, also from the new USAS manual, you're changing bond retirement to debt retirement. So you can change those descriptions and then upload those up using that mass load function. Okay, so there's other language updates from the USAS manual. There's handicap to disability, and then there's some others here as well. And then at the last page of the guide. Oh, and another one is if you're doing a mass add under the cash account, so for when you're doing the grants and you're changing maybe like 9025 to 9026, it's not changing the fiscal years. So you could download that file and then change like FY25 to FY26 for the 9026 or 9126 accounts. And then you could just mass load those back in so they have the correct description. It makes it a lot easier than changing every single account one at a time. So again, I've got the procedures here with screenshots, which is very helpful. And so you go to the utilities mass load, choose your file in CSV format, and open that, and then choose either cash expenditure revenue account. Load that utilities under mass load, choose file, choose your type of account, and load. And then after it's done, sometimes you'll see it will take a little bit of time that you'll get how many successfully completed and your errors as well. And you'll be getting this error file, which you can review. Okay. And then you can either add those, if there's only a couple, sometimes those are done one by one. If not, you can just kind of make the changes, reload, and take care of those errors. All right, so let's go through an example of this. We're going to go into our demo instance. We're going to go into our core account. Then we're going to go into the expenditure accounts. We're going to put in our 249 object code. Let's see, this is not registering. I used a different demo instance here, so we try this other demo instance. Technical difficulties, I apologize. Let's use a different instance here. Had some issues this morning with the one instance not working. There we go. All right, and you just want your true accounts that you'll only be using, and you'll run a report. We'll put in Excel field names. This will get headers for the file, which are the correct headers for loading for the CSV format. I'll generate that. Okay, let's generating that. Okay, here's the file. And just for brevity purposes, I'm just going to do the first few accounts here. Otherwise, it's going to take quite a while to load. Normally, you would do all of them, but this is just for demonstration purposes. All right, so you don't need the valid, so we're going to just delete those, delete that column, and then you don't need these columns at the end, so you can delete those as well. What's required is the active, the description, and then all the account parameters for the account. So in our case here, we're just changing our object. So we do a find and replace. We want to replace 249 here with 213. Let's replace all of those. We just did a, it wasn't the whole file, but we're just doing it for training purposes. And then you're going to save that, save it as, and we'll just say it is 49, 213, just for a nice description there. And that's going to be our CSV comma delimited format. We're going to save that. And then we're going to go into utilities, mass load. We're going to select the file. For our expenditures here in CSV format, and their expenditures going to be expenditure account. We're going to load those, and it will give us the results in just a little bit. And just as another note, we had some issues with the data collector, and what happened was there was a software fix that was applied earlier in the week, and so that caused some other issues, unfortunately. And the issue was that it like wiped out the expenditure accounts from the SIF collection. So everyone who has submitted already, you're going to need to resubmit, unfortunately, for your period H. And if you haven't submitted, then just hold off a little bit, let you know when those fix corrections have been made so that you won't get any errors on your uploads, so we can get those done. But we'll be notifying you for that, for the data collector in the near future. All right, let's go back here. Records loaded 60, but there was an error. Take a look at that error. Okay. So one thing that you want to double check is there's certain characters that can cause issues with a CSV upload. Okay, so one of those characters is an apostrophe. As you can see right here in the general boys sports, the plural possessive for the boys, that apostrophe is causing an error. So it wouldn't load up that new account. So if there's only one or two, you might just want to just create those under the core accounts expenditures. If there's several, then you could make that correction and reload the file. So for here, I'm going to find and replace. Instead of this, we could have the apostrophe and then the blank space, and then we're going to replace that. There we go. So that took that out. We're going to take this out here to change that and delete these rows here. So I'm going to create a new file, upload there. All right. We're going to just put it in our downloads again. I'm going to say correction. It's already in CSV format. I'm going to save that. Okay. And then I'll go back, use this file for the correction. Expenditure account, going to load that real quick. And that one loaded as well. So that's everything's in there and no errors. Another way this can be used for our second example is for terminology changes like the bond and debt reduction. If you're talking about a fund, retirement, here it's pretty easy. You can just go through and just rename that, save that. Okay. But when you get to expenditure accounts, there's a few. We're going to go into substances here. There we go. So here you can see there are a few of these. There's true there. Again, active is true. We're going to run a report. In the field names, I'm going to call that bond to debt for the renaming purposes. Okay, so the count numbers are going to stay the same. We do need to have the active in there as true. We can delete all of that. We don't need the valid. Okay, put here. Let's see, and some of them, it's like bond in 2 different places. So we want to keep the uppercase format. So we're going to highlight everybody here. We do replacing bond with debt. And we'll replace all those. There we go, made a few replacements. So other item which can cause hiccup is a comma. Obviously in a comma delimited file, if you have a description and maybe it's got a comma in the middle there, then, you know, if you had, I don't know, something in here, that's going to disrupt it right where that comma is. And it's going to throw the rest of this description into the next cell. And then your active is true is going to, that's, you know, it's just going to be throwing errors everywhere. So that's another thing you might want to search for. You search for your apostrophes, replace those with nothing, no blanks, no nothing. And then search for your commas and replace those with nothing. So here, comma, I'm going to replace that with nothing. I'm going to replace that, and it just made that one I put in there. So we'll go ahead. We're going to save that. Move on with that. Downloads, on to that. And as a CSV, there we go. Let's save that. And I'm going to go back into utilities, mass load for the expenditure accounts. Going to choose our file and logos. We'll see the results here in just a minute. There they are, 17 loaded, and there's no errors. So when we go look at our accounts, for bonds, nothing's there. You can see those all got changed to debt. So it's a great way to do it, especially when you've got a lot of accounts. Another example would be handicapped. We'll put that in there. See, there's, I'll wait for this to finish here. You can see there's so many accounts here that are going to need to be changed, and to do this one by one is just going to take so much time. If we can just download these, change them, upload those, you know, that, you know, can do the handicap to the disability lickety split, and that'll be such a time saver. You have time for other things in your day. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing now. If you need assistance, we'll be glad to help with you getting this accomplished, and get it done quickly. And if you have any other questions, please contact us, and have a wonderful rest of your day.